Everybody, this is Brooks Lindsay, the founder and editor of debatepedia.org. So I wanted to go over today one of the articles we have on Debatepedia, of course. It is breastfeeding in public. So this is a debate that's going on for really decades, but it's become a lot more significant in recent years because more and more women have been breastfeeding in public and more kind of liberally. So the debate here is obviously about women that go, let's say, to a restaurant, or they go to a public park, they're maybe at a meeting, maybe they're in their workplace, and they have a child, a baby. Usually it's just from being born to 6 months where breastfeeding happens. And so they might feel it's necessary to breastfeed their baby because there are a lot of reports that say that it's the most healthy thing to do. In fact, the World Health Organization says, quote, infants should be exclusively breastfed, i.e. receive only breast milk for the first 6 months of life to achieve optimal growth, development, and health. Exclusive breastfeeding is defined as giving no other food or drink, not even water except breast milk. So if the World Health Organization is saying that, a lot of women are saying, well, I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm going to breastfeed my baby whenever that baby is hungry, and I'm not going to care if it's in a restaurant, workplace, or in a public park. So breastfeeding in public is actually legal in most states of the United States, for example, and it's legal in most countries too. Sometimes it's not explicitly protected under the law, although usually it is always legal. It just might not be explicitly protected. So apparently it's explicitly protected in 47 states in the United States. So the question is whether or not this is legit, and it seems like the debate is relatively settled in favor of breastfeeding in public, but it's important to go through some of the arguments. So beyond the argument that it is just healthy for babies, that the World Health Organization presents as its core case, public breastfeeding allows feeding whenever a baby is hungry. So a baby might get hungry at any time of a day. Often it's fairly erratic and unpredictable, whereas maybe adults want to eat 3 meals, and it's more kind of consistent and regulated. Babies can get hungry at any given time. And if a woman feels that she should be breastfeeding her baby, then she can't quite plan when her baby is going to be hungry. And if, say, she's at a restaurant with her baby, or she is at a public park and that baby becomes hungry, it is advisable that she feed the baby then versus wait a couple hours or an hour or even 30 minutes. That means that maybe she should have the right to feed that baby then and there whenever the baby is hungry. If not, it could be damaging to the baby. And this is part of a bigger argument that is just that breastfeeding in public is a fundamental right and part of reproductive rights of women. So the breast is a reproductive function, so it's meant to feed babies. It's for feeding, not for sex. So therefore, it should be possible to exercise that process in any place, in anywhere. Another argument is breastfeeding improves the bond between the mother and a child. Now this kind of makes sense to me. It's a pretty intimate process. Obviously, it's a situation where the baby is eating entirely, exclusively, depending entirely on the mother. And the mother is exclusively providing the food that the baby is eating. I can see how this would, in some physiological, psychological way, be a bonding moment. Another argument that is on Debatepedia's article on this is that it's in favor of mothers' health. So breastfeeding improves the health of mothers. Nancy Solomon says in this one article, quote, breastfeeding offers significant health benefits to nursing mothers, including reduced risks of breast and other types of cancers as well as osteoporosis. Another argument is that it actually helps moms reduce their weight. And this does make sense to me because it takes a lot of energy to actually produce milk and to consistently supply it to a baby. So your body has to go through the process of breaking down whatever food you're eating and then producing it to milk with all the nutrients, including the fats. And it is rich in fats, so obviously it's taking some fats from the food you're eating and putting it into these lipids. into these milks. And then let's get into decency. So breasts are for breastfeeding, not sex, is one of the arguments on Debatepedia. And Lindsay Nelson breaks this down. Quote, in the United States, we are barraged with sexualized images of women, often prominently feature the breasts. From televised advertisements for lingerie, to red carpet fashion, to magazine covers, to video games, images of sexualized breasts are a fact of our daily lives. In contrast, images of mothers breastfeeding their children are decidedly rare. Despite our culture's seeming insistence to the contrary, a woman's breasts are a functional body part intended to nourish our young. Yeah, for sure. The breast isn't intended for sex. There's no sexual function. Of course, there's some stimulating erogenous zones in the breast, but I think that's just irrelevant in general. It is specifically for the purpose of feeding the baby.